Welcome back in live to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We're continuing with our position ranks, working through the film, and today we're talking about the linebackers. One of my more intriguing classes. I love a lot of these prospects, more towards the later rounds, but we're doing our top five here. I have them listed. Dill, what's your overall thoughts on this linebacker class, specifically these five prospects that we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think this is one of the more deeper groups in this draft, maybe along with like wideouts and in corners, I think. So, and I think really what you got is you're headlined by two really good players, surefire first rounders. And I think Christian Harris has an argument to be a first round pick. We may see Brandon Smith a little bit different, but again, I think you got two clear first-round picks with a possibility. I mean, Christian Harris, I could very well see a team loving him and taking him the first round too.
Yeah, I had Christian Harris in one of the mocks go early second to the Steelers. I kind of got ripped for it, but I like his physical attributes and the flashes. Let's just go through each of these linebackers, give you a little bit of thoughts that we have. Getting into Nakobe Dean, I've spent so much time watching this dude on film. He's one of my favorite prospects in the class, not necessarily from my big board perspective, but just how he plays the game. Fast, he's smart, he's tough. Is everything you look for in a linebacker, really besides the size. A little bit shorter with the length, a little bit light with the weight, but he plays so tough that I'm not worried about it. He stacks blocks really well. He's a phenomenal tackler. He's very good in space. And in coverage, yeah, he doesn't have that length that like a 6'3" Brandon Smith might have, but he's so smart. He has just such a good feel for this game. And at the end of the day, when you're taking linebackers, that's probably the number one asset you'll have. You got to be able to recognize plays and go to the football. And Nakobe Dean does that better than anybody else in this class.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like that is the only knock in terms of his play. It was standout great.
Amazing.
I
it
thought
was phenomenal,
super consistent, and so again, when you're getting into knocking guys, like the only issue you have is a height weight combo issue and length.
Just watch the film.
Yeah, it's like, and it's not like he was playing at D3 football or something. Like
Nice.
you saw him against the top dogs, and you saw him perform.
And he's the best player
at the highest level when they played Bama. I mean, when they played Michigan, he was dominant. So it's like he did star in the games against pro caliber players.
So when Devin Floyd played Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game, he obviously had a phenomenal game. And Kobe Dean had probably his worst graded game against Alabama in the SEC championship. You kind of saw like, oh my God, Devin Lloyd might be like 1A, 1B. I think there are 1A, 1B already, but is Devin Lloyd a better prospect? And then I think Nakobe Dean kind of put all of that aside. The last two games finished just phenomenal against Michigan and Alabama. And he is solidified in that top spot. Getting to Devin Lloyd, excuse me. Devin Lloyd is also a really good prospect. When you look at his film, like he's very, very smart. I think he lacks that explosiveness, that short area quickness that Nakobe Dean has.
That's what I think. You don't see him making plays as consistently at the line of scrimmage just because Nakobe Dean's there. Dang, like quick.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. That is, you do see that with Lloyd. Doesn't have that explosion and
that short area quickness, I think.
Which is important, yeah.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd, though, he has some things that Nakobe Dean might not have as much. One, the length. He's 6'3". He's a converted wide receiver safety coming out of high school. Has phenomenal ball skills. I think he had 5 or 6 interceptions throughout his career. 3 this year. Batted balls down at the line of scrimmage. And he lives in the backfield, too. He's smart. He's smart at filling holes. He had like 7 or 8 sacks, so he's good. He gives you that good pass rush value, similar to what Nakobe Dean has. Touching on Nakobe Dean one more time, his blitzes in the A gap are disgusting. I mean, he's so good at timing that snap and knifing through.
I know Georgia loved going double A gap blitzes with him
and Shannon
Tyndall.
Yeah, and Devin Lloyd is also a very good pass rusher. He likes to do it more off the edge as opposed to Nakobe Dean up the middle, but he's also a very good player. I think just the flashes of that quickness that Nakobe Dean shows, it just gives him the edge. But again, Devin Lloyd, he's another first-round talent, I think 20 to 30 range would be a great spot for him. Even with like the Eagles picking it in that 15, 16 range, I think he'd be a good landing spot for them as well. A very, very good linebacker, just not quite on Nakobe Dean's level.
Yeah, and then so we're getting into your third guy. You have Brandon Smith. I think this is like, I don't think you're sleeping way deep on Christian Harris, but I mean, just to introduce Brandon Smith, kind of he's got more like almost like kind of what you're looking for in the length, in the athleticism, the size. But I don't know. There were like an element of I didn't see the dominant play that some of these top dogs were putting out.
So I'll give you a little on Brandon Smith, and I want to look something up. Brandon Smith, what I saw, and you kind of said, is the physical attributes are disgusting. Great length. He's fast. Good size. He's a high 5-star recruit. That being said, this past year, the film just didn't really show him utilizing that physical size. I don't think he's particularly tough. He doesn't stack blocks the way you kind of like. He hasn't been as consistent with making tackles, even though he's a relatively long guy. Guys like bounce off him. Hassan Haskins did that to him a couple of times in that Michigan game. And so and he's slow recognizing plays. Those are kind of the big weaknesses I had on him. The reason I have him as my number 3 prospect is the length is there, and I saw some really good stuff on this third year of his film, dropping back in coverage. He runs with tight ends through the seams really well. I mean, he's very athletic. He's very long, and that's kind of what you're looking for in this modern day NFL. A guy that can go sideline to sideline, a guy that can drop back and cover guys, being long, being tough and physical, and tough maybe. I shouldn't use that word. But being long and fast. And so I have him as my third prospect, a little bit as a projection. I think he's going to be a good nickel linebacker, and he's going to be athletic in space. He's just not quite as good in the box, working through that traffic and taking on blocks that Nakobe Dean type players are.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is that like that really has to be in your game as a
if you're gonna be a linebacker. Yeah.
Like that's you can take a guy later,
but the thing is, he can do it. Like it's like I don't even know, is it a mentality thing, because he's all the physical tools in the book to be an all-pro linebacker. It just didn't quite come together. And I'm gonna say the same thing for Christian Harris. I mean, Christian Harris flashes. He flashes with those physical tools, similar to Brandon Smith. You just didn't see it consistently enough, not filling the right gaps, not really working through the traffic as well as he could be. And that's why I have him 4. I could be talked into putting Christian Smith 3 and Brandon Smith 4. Very similar prospects in my mind. They're both physically very, very gifted, high recruits. Christian Harris has been starting since a true freshman at Alabama.
Christian Harris is a hammer, though.
He's a hammer.
Like in my mind,
he's tougher.
He is a bulldog on guards and tackles coming up to block him, and he makes when he's playing well, he's making a lot of tackles behind the line, maybe not a lot, but you see the flashes of him doing it. And I mean, if you talked to me last year, he's a top 10 pick easy coming off of the 2020 film. I thought he was by far the best linebacker in the game coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I feel like people are like down on him. I don't know if that's because Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd took massive steps forward. I mean, Nakobe Dean just got a shot. He was sitting behind Monty Rice a little bit last year. And
you saw what Nakobe Dean had at the back end of last year. I mean, that guy.
But if you were to make me pick the two of them, I would have been taking Harris last year. Harris was wildly consistent, and I don't know what he did this year that makes people like.
I know what he did, and that's what I saw. And I think that I'm not like a PFF jock sniffer, but there's a reason why his grades weren't great, and it's just because he wasn't consistent filling in those run gaps, and he just wasn't great at working through traffic and finding the ball carrier as consistently as he should be. I mean, Nakobe Dean was consistently at the right spot. One other point I want to make, though. We're going to talk a lot about Nakobe Dean and Channing Tindall, 2 of my favorite prospects. They probably have the easiest linebacker job in the country. I mean, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Jalen Carter. You don't see a lot of guards coming up. You don't see a lot of offensive linemen coming up and blocking you because they're not working through that front 4. And so maybe there's something to be said about that. That being said, I just didn't see a consistent enough Christian Harris around the ball to have him up in that echelon, where I saw Nakobe Dean was always around the football. That's kind of what
Yeah,
separated.
I mean, my issue with the Brandon Smith Harris, I'll grant you the other two because those two just had bang up years and they did make a big step forward and possibly a jump over Harris. My issue with him versus Brandon Smith is I think he might be as good of an athlete, if not better, because I do think he has more short situation burst and explosiveness.
Brandon Smith will run a faster 40, but I bet Christian Harris in the more of those agility, change of direction, short area quickness drills, Christian Harris will have him there. So I get it. Keep going. Sorry.
So and again, I loved how I think he was as physical as any linebacker when he's playing his game. And I mean, in the national title game, I thought he was very good, getting after Stetson a little bit. And it's not like I saw him. He didn't get victimized in coverage by those Georgia running backs who have had some success in the past. So I think Michigan, but I don't know. I'm much higher on Christian Harris. I think most people are. I think I could see him easily in the first round, but
yeah, Christian Harris had his best game against Alabama in against Georgia in the national championship.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was really good. I just didn't see it consistently enough. You honestly kind of talked me into putting Brandon Smith above Christian Harris. We can update those rankings because
reversal.
I'm kind of with you. Smith, I think I was like, oh my God, Brandon Smith is such a high recruit. He's I fell a little not in love with Brandon Smith because I have a lot of problems with his game, but I saw him against Auburn run with these tight ends down the seam, and I was like, this is what you want in this modern day NFL. Like he's hip to hip with them, using his length to get a pass defended. And I was like, that's what kind of like got me going. But again, now I'm thinking about when teams are running the football at Penn State and he just like can't work through, he can't take on blocks, and he's missing tackles. I'm like, I don't know. So I could see Christian Harris moving up our boards too.
Yeah,
last guy on the list.
Final guy is
my dog.
Your guy. Yeah, no one really is.
You won't see another person high. Yeah, he started to play more and more for Georgia. So Quay Walker was kind of the starter for that Georgia Bulldog defense. And then more and more Channing Tindall until the point in the SEC championship game, the national championship game. He was the starter, and Quay Walker was getting the kind of the second string snaps.
Yeah, you saw Tindall. You saw what he could do in the first game, like right away. It's like, who's this Channing Tindall running around making plays?
So fast,
sideline to sideline. Yeah.
He's gonna run like a 4.45. He's gonna run wide receiver numbers. He flies around the ball. I think he sheds blocks pretty good too. I think that's what kind of was a little bit of a knock on him is maybe 230, a little undersized. Can you work through blocks? I think he does that. He uses his speed to chase down ball carriers extremely well. Getting out to the flat is not a problem. I mean, this dude plays with his feet on fire. And one other thing that I think's really kind of what I saw that I loved about Channing Tindall is he can blitz really well. Him and Nakobe Dean both just wreak havoc in the blitz game. And I kind of just like fell in love with the dude. He plays it the right way. He's fast. That's what you kind of need in a linebacker these days.
The obvious issue to me is just not having like played enough to is this guy really the man? Like he was not starting generally.
Oh, this is his first year starting.
He was playing a lot, but it was like in a sort of a hybrid starting role. And I think you want to know, can he put a whole year together? Because obviously you didn't necessarily get the chance to see it. Not that he can, you just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's been there 4 years at Georgia. His first 3 years, he barely played. I mean, you had guys like Monte Rice, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker playing in front of him. That fourth year, Monte Rice goes to the NFL, and Nakobe Dean's kind of the featured backer, and Quay Walker and Channing Tindall were rotating, and it was more Quay Walker than Channing Tindall to start the season. As the season goes on, it's more Channing Tindall, less Quay Walker, and I think that's just because of how good Channing Tindall's played. He's only played 600 snaps his whole career. You're right. He hasn't played that much, and you want to see a little bit more consistency from him. But, like, from what I saw, I think he is going to be one of the higher linebackers.
He's got the traits.
He's going to test.
He does have the traits.
He's going to test a crazy combine. And so that's kind of what put him in at that fifth spot. Honorable mentions that I still need to work through more film. I don't know if any of them will catch Channing Tindall, but Chad Mumma from Wyoming, I want to get more film on. He's a guy that I'm interested in. Terrell Bernard from Baylor really impressed me against Ole Miss. Kobe McLean from Auburn. I know that's my brother's guy. He likes him a lot. And then Henry To'oTo'o was about to be in the top 5. I think Henry To'oTo'o would have had that 5th spot over Channing Tindall if he didn't go back to school. Henry To'oTo'o goes back to school for a 4th year. So that really helps out a guy like Channing Tindall kind of climb up that board. One other guy, Leo Chenal, I'll give him an honorable mention too. He's 260 pounds. I think he's 3rd in TFLs in the whole country. I mean, that dude, as far as a box linebacker goes, playing between the tackles, shouldn't say box linebacker, between the tackles linebacker, I mean, there's not many better guys than him. He's just as powerful as they come, just blowing up plays. I worry about that athleticism, and especially where the NFL is at today.
Yep.
Anyways, that was a quick little banger on my top 5 linebacking prospects. Again, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're going to be back with safeties tomorrow. We're working through a bunch of guys right now, and we'll be back with our top 5 tomorrow. As usual, appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.